Okay, so South London, Ontario. So I've been doing these videos where like I go street by street on a map through each section of London, north, east, west. I've already done. Just to teach you about London. It's for people that might want to move here or are moving here and need to learn where they want to live. So now let's do South London. We're going to look at some of the best schools, some of the worst schools in the city. We're going to look at some of the most affordable new build homes in the entire city. We'll also look at a spot really close to Victoria Hospital. All that is on the way. My name's Ryan. I'm a real estate agent in southwestern Ontario who grew up in London, Ontario. People call me all the time looking to move to the London area or move within London. So feel free to reach out. That is my phone number right there. All right, so first up, let's do Old South. So Old South is located right here on your map. It's just south of downtown. Okay, it is both old and south. Great name for it. So these are its boundaries here. So pretty much from the southern fork of the Thames River down to Commissioners, and then from Wellington to Wharncliffe. This big box is Old South. The bulk of homes in this area are going to sell between 600 and 800K, but they do go outside of that range. Like lately, there's been a lot like just under 600, like 585, 590, 595. And of course, some go higher than that, like this one. It's got to be 100 years old. This is a heritage home, completely remodeled and modernized on the interior, but very old from the outside. And of course, it's got a larger lot than most in the area. So within the boundaries of Old South is Wortley Village, which I've talked about in other videos. This is like a nice historic area with historic homes, this village feel to it, great restaurants. It's very trendy. Okay, the exact boundaries of Wortley Village aren't clearly drawn, but it's like this is Wortley Road and Elmwood right here. Like at this corner is like the main commercial hub, and then a few blocks in each direction would be Wortley Village. It's really nice. They have like festivals and parades and stuff all the time. So this building right here, this is the normal school. It was a school built in like 1899 to teach teachers how to teach. Okay, now it's a YMCA, but it's got like this big grounds and this nice park, and it's here like just at Halloween here. They had like a big festival here where there was like pumpkin carving for kids and face painting. They had a little parade. They had food trucks and live music. They're doing stuff like that all the time. Sometimes they shut down the main street and they just have like a market out the front. It's a nice area to live, and like it's close to downtown. Like you can see downtown in the background of these videos. So if you want to get downtown quickly and not be too far from that, but not live downtown, this is a good spot for you. Also, like you got Commissioners there, which can shoot you east to west pretty easy. So not a bad spot to be. So in Wortley, they're going to be a bit more money than they are elsewhere. So like this one right here, this sold for $900,000. Okay, now this one sold for $750,000. So if you got kids and you might be living in Wortley, Wortley Public School is located right here. It does pretty good, just a little above the provincial average on test results. So they get a 6.5 out of 10 is their rating from the Fraser Institute. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The other schools in the area of Old South, they don't do so well. There's 3 other schools, and they all are like below the 5 out of 10 rating. So they're all below average on test results. But the Wortley one is the one that does really well. On the way, we're going to look at some modern new homes in South London. First, though, let's look at a spot really close to the hospital. All right, up next, we got Highland, okay? So the Highland area is just south of Commissioners. So we were here at Wortley, now go south of Commissioners, boom, we're in Highland, okay? So again, it's bordered by Wellington and Wharncliffe, and from Commissioners down to Southdale. It's this big box right here, and within this box, there's other little areas like Cleardale and Lockwood Park, which we'll all talk about, okay? Now, the hospital is right here, so you're located super close to Victoria Hospital and the Children's Hospital. If you work there, you want to be nearby, this is an option for some of you, or if you just want to be somewhere close to healthcare, this could be a good spot. Also, this area, Highland, bears the name of the golf course located within it, which is Highland Golf and Country Club. It's a private course, be about $12,000 a year if you want to be a part of it. There's a couple things we're going to go over, including the big giant homes that they built just to the left, just to the west of the entrance to the golf course. Actually, let's just do that now. So right here is two things. There's 1.5 streets that are like 5 years old or less. Those will be the most expensive. And then there's some older ones that are also big, beautiful executive 2 stories they're all going to be expensive in there. Okay, so like this one right here is like the cheapest I could find. It's one of the smallest in the area, sold for around $1.2 million. And then this one just sold recently. This is one of the older ones, but it's giant, and this sold just under $2 million. Okay, so do you see Upper Queens here, and then do you see Wellington here? Between these two is an area called Lockwood Park. I really like it, especially the northern half of this area. So up here, you get these smaller homes, mature trees, quiet streets. Like no one's going down these streets except people that live there. If you just drive down it, you just get a feel like this is a nice area. And the hospital's like right here. Like you can throw a rock and hit the hospital if you really want to. So if you want to avoid driving, you want to walk to work, you can do that. So a lot of these are 1970s homes, maybe early 80s homes. They're going to run you $600,000 to $800,000 on average. Again, some go more, some go less. This is the kind of thing you're looking at here. This is a 1970s 2-story that sold for $775,000, had a 65-foot front lot, which I talk about a lot in my videos because it bugs me that they build them on tiny little 30-foot lots now. They don't build lots like this too often anymore. These are nice streets, but there is a major downside, which I will tell you about a little later on in this section of the video. First, though, I want to tell you, south of this is a little bit more affordable. So down here, and I don't have prices right now because they almost never come up for sale, but you go down here and it's more townhomes. It's townhomes everywhere, a few apartment buildings. A lot of them are privately owned and then rented out, but occasionally they come up for sale, but the last sale I could find was from like 2 years ago. Anyway, let's continue around Highland, okay? So over on the other side of the golf course over here, you come in off Highview Avenue, and over here you get affordable-ish family homes that are less than 30 years old, affordable for Ontario. Anyway, so like this one here, this sold for about $650,000. This has a 1-car garage. It has 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. You also get older ones like this. Okay, so this sold around $700,000, just under it. It's a bit bigger. And then this one here, this sold for $750,000, okay? So if we go back to our map here, we've talked about this, we've talked about this, talked about the golf course, talked about this. Cleardale down here is the last little section. Again, what I like about this area is the size of the lots and the distance from your neighbor. It's a nice, quiet street. A lot of them are smaller. Maybe some people would consider them first-time homebuyer homes, or maybe someone who has one child, or someone who's downsizing. But you do see the odd newer one that is bigger, that's been built on a lot there. Now, if we talk about the schools for a second, this is important. So Cleardale Public School, this one has a 4.7 rating from the Fraser Institute, so it is below average. Mountsfield Elementary School, located right here, this school district covers the most expensive homes by the golf course, and it's also those middle-class homes on Highview I told you about. So this is a good rating. This is well above average. This is a 7.2 rating. Now, that downside I mentioned before, where there was those nice quiet streets with the 2 stories that are under $800,000 up here close to the hospital in Lockwood Park area, the downside to that is the school that you go to there has the lowest rating in this section. It has a 2.8 out of 10 from the Fraser Institute. Okay, that is not good. So that is well below average on test results. That is George Cartier Elementary School. On the way, we're going to go over a section near one of London's biggest malls and like one of the major commercial hubs in this city. First, though, let's go and look at one of the newer areas. Okay, so we did Wortley, we did Highland. Let's scroll out. So in the West video that I did, I covered Westmount and I covered like Lambeth area, all down here. I skipped over Bostwick, which is really kind of southwest, so I could have covered it then, I didn't. I'll cover it now. That's what we're talking about, Bostwick. So Bostwick is an area that is filled with more modern 2-story homes located between Wonderland and Warncliffe, south of Southdale, okay? this triangle here. But I'm going to include also right over to White Oaks Road, so all this area. I've heard this called Longwoods before, but there's only a couple little sections with homes. I'd like to just group this all together, okay? But let's start up here in this little triangle, okay? As I drive these streets, you see most homes are 2 stories and at least 2,000 square feet above grade. They're modern, they're nice, and it's in a neighborhood where people seem to take care of their homes. They mow their lawns, they clean out their gutters, they put up Christmas lights. It's a nice little area. Just like in the last section, there is one thing that you might consider negative about this area. I will tell you about that in just a second. First, though, let's look at home prices. So at the date of recording, there are a few listed homes right now around $850,000, okay? So like this one. This is what they look like inside. That appears to be around the selling price of a nice detached home in this area right now, the $850 mark. There's also a few condo townhomes and detached condos in this area as well. Here's an example of that. This is like 10 years old. This sold around $550K. Not bad for $550. Like in London, if you go detached freehold, like you're not going to get much more than this at all, right? So this is a good alternative to a detached if your budget is $550. So now, if you go to the other side of Warncliffe, you get 1 or 2 streets where they're a bit older, like 20 years old, but most of them are around the same age as what I just showed you, okay? So this one right here, 2-car garage, 1,800 square feet. This just sold just over $800,000. Now, let's talk about those negatives, okay? So if we switch to the satellite view here, what you'll see is farm fields everywhere around this area. Listen to me closely. Those will not be farm fields for long, I'm telling you. In fact, even right now, as you drive by, there's those signs they put up that say planning application, like they're already designing neighborhoods to go there. And the main road, Southdale, right here, I'm telling you, man, right now, under construction, there is a ton of apartment buildings or condos being built all along Southdale. So essentially, all this area is going to be straight condos and apartment buildings. Now, I know Botswick is just east of that, but still, I mean, that's going to increase traffic in the area. It might get very congested for a long time in that area, and it might be one of those neighborhoods where like your street is like nice and complete, but like just around the corner, there's backhoes going, there's dirt everywhere because they're just building more homes, there's noise all the time. That's going to be a problem in this area for a while. But that is a growing city problem, and London is a growing city. Another growing city problem is schools. They're full, okay? So this is a temporary problem because there are already measures in place to fix it, but right now, if you move into the area, you're going to be going to a different school than the closest one. Here, let me explain. So all the schools in the Botswick area are now full because this is a growing area. Until the new ones are built, your kids are going to go to a different school than the closest one nearby. So for this area between Wonderland and Warncliffe, the holding school is Victoria, which is downtown. That school has a 3.2 out of 10 rating. That is not good, okay? The new school near you on Pack Road, located right here, okay, this is almost finished being built. They're going to open for the 2025 school year. Now, if you're in the rest of this area over here, the holding school is Nicholas Wilson in White Oaks, which has a 3.8 rating. Again, not a great rating. So that is my major concern. Actually, you know what? My major concern is if you're in this section over here, the new school for you, I don't even think they've started construction on it yet. They're still in the design phase. So if you buy a house over here, you're going to be going to Nicholas Wilson for a number of years before the new school that's going to be closest to you is built. I mean, I think they're talking 2026, 2027, somewhere around there it's going to open. Okay, White Oaks. So White Oaks area is right down here. White Oaks is like a major commercial area in London, so everyone knows it. London has 2 big malls, okay? One of them is up in the north, Masonville, and the other one is down here, is White Oaks. And even if what you want isn't at the mall, there's stores and businesses all up Wellington Road here. Everything you want is in the area. The neighborhood itself is probably best described as blue collar, okay? It's small little homes that are often more affordable than elsewhere in the city, and I think it's generally a safe area. So here's the thing. On my video on crime in London, I talked about how in the 90s and 2000s, there's this White Oak gang, that the White Oaks gang that the London Crime Unit really focused on. It was a real thing. I don't think it's a thing anymore. I never hear about it. I think it's a pretty safe area. I know that will still scare some of you away, but honestly, I don't really think there's anything to be worried about in the White Oaks area anymore. If you live in London and you have thoughts about White Oaks, feel free to comment down below. But let's look at some housing prices. So something like this is a back split that sells around the $550 mark in White Oaks. Okay, so same with this one. This is a ranch, so it's less living space than that back split, but it was modernized. It was a nicer house inside, sold around the same price. For condos, an older walk-up like this, okay, so 280 to 300K, they're typically going for inside here. If it's really nice, maybe a little over 300. For schools in White Oaks, you have Rick Hansen, Ashley Oaks, and the interim holding school of Nicholas Wilson, which we just talked about recently. They all have below average ratings from the Fraser Institute. Unfortunately, I have noticed that any school district that has affordable or somewhat affordable housing typically ends up to have a lower score on provincial-wide testing. When I grew up, I went to a school with a 1 out of 10 rating from the Fraser Institute. Wasn't a great school. I turned out okay, but there were a lot of kids at the school from really rough homes. But anyway, White Oaks is a nice, affordable, blue-collar area that can get you a house at a cheaper price than you're going to get elsewhere in the city. Okay, so wooded walking trails, sports fields, and you're close to the highway. That area is on the way after we talk about Glen Cairn and Pond Mills. Glen Cairn and Pond Mills. So this section right here on your map. I have mixed feelings about this because, like, if I drive down some of these streets and you see these nice small bungalows with mature trees, it's quiet, it's nice, it looks like a great area, and I think, yeah, man, I could live here. But then there's some sections of this area that have a rough reputation. Again, in my video on London crime, I mentioned this area right here, these townhome complexes, which always have garbage out for some reason, and there's a lot of police presence in the area. Police are always being called. And then also King Edward and Thompson as a rough area as well. Here's the thing. When I make videos like this, where I say, like, this area is rough, I always get commenters saying that I'm wrong. And then I get more commenters saying that I'm right. So don't just take my word for it. Let's go to Reddit. I think comments like this sum it up pretty good. So this guy's like, I lived here most of my life. It's not bad. Just don't keep any nice decorations outside. They'll be gone overnight. LOL. Then there's comments like this. I thought there was a shooting there recently. And someone else responded, it was a guy that tried to steal a truck and then barricade himself in a random home. It's not like downtown where there's a shooting almost every week. That's an exaggeration, by the way. I've lived at Deveron and Commissioners for 5 years. I've never felt unsafe. So, I mean, take what you will from those comments. I mean, at the best of them said, like, if you have something nice, people will steal it. The worst of it, the guys were referring to this news article here where a guy stole a truck, barricaded himself in someone's garage. He had a weapon, and police ended up having to shoot the guy. I don't want to make it sound like that happens every day in this area, but you don't hear about that happening at all in some sections of London. Okay, for parks, there's several small parks in the area. Parks with big open grassy fields, ball diamonds, soccer fields, etc. There are also nice parks all along Thames River, and then a corridor of parks that leads you all the way down to Commissioners. And of course, I'd be crazy not to mention Westminster Ponds down here. There are 2 large ponds in this nature area where people can go bird watching, some people kayak, there's a few walking trails in there as well. And for schools, unfortunately, pretty much all of them have below average ratings. C.C. Carruthers has a 2 out of 10 rating from the Fraser Institute. Glen Cairn Public School, a 2.3 rating. The only school in the area that exceeds the provincial average, on average, would be Princess Elizabeth, which is a French immersion school. Okay, last but not least for today, let's look at Summerside. So if you go to your map and you go down here, this big bulk is Summerside. Within Summerside, you have this area called Jackson, and the newest homes and some of the most affordable new homes in London are going to be there. And then over up here, you have like Victoria on the Thames near Meadow Lily trails and all that. We'll talk about all of it, okay? Summerside is a mostly newish development in southeastern London. The oldest homes are probably 20, 25 years old, but there are a lot of new homes and some homes not yet complete. There is an issue with the school, which we'll talk about in a second. First, the positives, okay? So if there is one thing in this section of London is really good for, it's access to parks. Some of the best football/soccer fields in the city are right here, off Commissioners at Citywide Sports Park. You have this big, well-manicured football field that doubles as a soccer field. They also have baseball diamonds over here. It's a really big park. And also, the neighborhood of Jackson down here, they have this big park as well, which has splash pads and jungle gyms and 2 other big soccer fields. All the schools, of course, will have basketball nets that kids can use any time of the day or year. And there's also wooded parks. Yeah, so Meadow Lily Forest meanders along the Thames River right here. They have, I don't know how many kilometers, several kilometers of walking trails, and according to the Conservation Authority, there's like 110 different species of wildlife in there, including beaver, there's hawks, you'll see the occasional eagle, there's deer, there's lots of stuff in there. So it's nice to have that nearby. Some homes actually back onto that. So for houses, if you want to live next to Meadow Lily Woods up here, there's this small neighborhood called Victoria on the Thames. Houses like this are selling around the $800,000 mark, maybe up to $1 million, depending on the size right now. They're like 5 years old, so they're in good shape. Now down here in Jackson area, you will find both old and some of the newest homes in the area. Houses like this are some of the older ones. That's a 3-bedroom home that sold for $730,000. Now, do you see Jackson Road right here? So right now, the eastern side of this road is where all the new development is happening. These are going to be some of the most affordable new build homes in London and maybe southwestern Ontario. Houses like this is being offered right now for $820,000. And of course, this area is nice because it's super close to the highway. But there's a problem with the schools in the area that seems to be a recurring theme here, okay? So back in, I think it was 2022, they opened Summerside Public School. Brand new, beautiful school. Guess what? It was full before they even opened the doors, okay? Enrollment was full. So now, new people moving into the area, they're sending you to JP Robarts Public School, which I think has like a 2 out of 10 rating from the Fraser Institute. Like, they're not doing well, they're performing below provincial average, on average, at JP Robarts. So London was like, oh crap, we need even more schools. They've got like 6 about to open and like another 4 under construction or something like that. One of them is going to be another one for this area, but you're talking probably 2027 before that school opens. So again, the school thing is a problem right now in London, but they are building like crazy to try and fix that problem. Summerside, again, you're going to find nice, quiet streets with young families and a decent home. You just got to decide whether that's a big deal for you if you're going to wait a couple years before you get the new school built. So that's it for South London. Again, you can go watch North, East, West London. I try and cover absolutely everything in the city the best that I can. That is my phone number right there. People call me all the time looking to move to London, looking to purchase a home. If you need some advice or you need some help, feel free to reach out. Thanks.